Hello, it's Heidi Pratt here, and we are back with the Pregnancy Podcast. I am at week 19 of my pregnancy, a big week. This was a really fun, exciting, crazy week for me. The baby's as big as a mango in fruit size, so that's really exciting. My pregnancy brain has me so crazy that I haven't even realized it's week 19. I had to remember, which is funny because I look at this app all day long. So it was definitely a very interesting week. I had a doctor's appointment, my monthly appointment, and it's my favorite time of the month. I always ask for the extra ultrasound. I'm not sure if you're really allowed to do that or not, but I love just seeing my son and seeing what he's doing in there and moving, because obviously I'm pregnant and I know that and I realize that throughout the day, but just to see him in there, I don't know, it's another layer of what's going on and just kind of seeing what he's doing and his little movements. And I cry every single time. I might be the only lady who cries in there every single time, but I'm already so excited and so emotional. And so going in there is just so fun. While I was in there, I had my blood drawn, which is always exciting at week 19. And then I had to make my appointment for the big scan. I forget what it's called, but when the full anatomy scan for when the baby's going to be head to toe checked out, just to make sure everything's going well. So I made that appointment, and Spencer came with me, which he always does. I tell him each time, I'm like, you don't need to come. He's like, oh, I'm coming. Stop saying that. I'm like, okay, I guess I should stop saying that. He really wants to come. So it's really cute. He has like his camera and his phone ready. And I almost feel like we are in the delivery room. It's so funny watching him react in there, and he gets so excited, but he's definitely Snapchatting and Instagramming, and so am I. So I try to make sure to take some time to be in the moment. My doctor was actually supposed to leave before my appointment because she had another woman in labor. Thankfully, she can just walk right over there when the time comes, but thankfully she stayed because I was so excited about this appointment. But it was really fun feeling the birth energy, the delivery energy, and she was headed over there, and the excitement and the woman calling or not, and I was just picturing in my mind like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be me. And it was just really fun seeing that next step, the kind of light at the end of the tunnel, or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the pregnancy. So we went in there and had the ultrasound. And to my surprise, I learned that I have an extremely big baby in the 90th percentile. So I am one of the lucky few that gets a 10% of the largest babies. And I didn't really understand what she was telling me, because she did say that part of it is my cravings, or mostly. So it's like, well, then am I eating too much? Because I have been concerned about my weight gain. And then I thought she said, well, it has nothing to do with really what you're eating. So I just got really confused. And then I was clouded in my mind. I was like, okay, wait, what's going on? So just tell me straight. Do I need to be like dieting, or is it genetic, or what's going on here? So she did say part of it's my cravings, but at the end of the day, I mean, the baby's going to be the size that the baby wants to be. My mom had 3 different pregnancies and ate completely different with all 3 of us. With my sister, she was pretty healthy. With me, she ate more junk food, and with my little brother, she was a vegan or a vegetarian. So with all 3 babies, and we were all in the top 10 smallest babies percentile. So in my mind, that really doesn't have as much to do with eating as it does genetically or with her body, or I'm not sure what. So I said to my doctor, okay, that's it. I'm just going to eat salads from here on out. And then I felt this little flutter kick. I mean, I said last week that I think that was the first time I felt him kick. And then this week was like the second time. So it's so funny. He kicked me like, don't take away my good food. And I just couldn't even believe it. I was like, whoa, okay, that was a little flutter kick. That was one of those flutters that they're talking about. So it was really funny. The timing was very ironic, and he is so active every time. Also, my doctor's like, wow, he's really active. He like kicks his little legs and he's moving around, and I'm going to have a very active little baby, which makes sense because I was an extremely active, crazy kid, and I think Spencer was. Though it only makes sense that between the 2 of us, we would have an extremely active kid, which my only concern is I have 4 we'll say very energetic dogs. And so I'm definitely going to have to, continue to figure that out with the little active boy. But anyways, back to the ultrasound. So I was concerned about my weight gain and about having a big baby. And then I started kind of freaking out a little bit because, I've gained my pregnancy weight, but I'm not that big. Like, my bone structure is kind of small. I'm a little shorter. My sister's 5'9". I'm only 5'3". So I started getting really concerned about having a baby. And in my mind, I've been wanting to have a natural birth. That's my birth plan at this point. I want to be able to have a natural birth. I'll read about it. I'll tell you about it a little bit later in the blog, but just everything that I've read and kind of seen recently, I want to have that full experience. And yeah, maybe a part of me is like, I want to know that I can do it. And if other women have been able to do it, I think that I can do it. And then once I heard that there was the big baby in the 90th percentile, how big does that even mean the baby's going to be? Like 11 pounds? Please, Lord Jesus, don't let that be the case. But that's a pretty big baby, and maybe a lot of my weight gain has been the baby's size. So that also makes sense because in general, I think I eat pretty healthy. Yes, I do have a little dessert every day, and I do eat bread and stuff like that, but I eat mostly organic, non-GMO, pretty healthy. I make sure to have a salad for lunch most of the time. I make sure to have something healthy with dinner. I try to eat healthy fats. I try not to eat too much sugar. I try to limit caffeine. All these things. I'm trying really hard. So I also want to enjoy my life and not go the other way. I don't want to snap and have 100 of Starbursts in a day or whatever it is. So I'm just trying to have a good balance with that. But once I heard that I'm going to have such a big baby, I started kind of freaking out. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, doc, give me the epidural, give me the nitrous or the painkillers or whatever it's going to be, load me up. And I just needed to really pray about it because I started getting anxiety and I'm like, okay, this isn't good either. Obviously, God's not going to let me have more than I can handle, and whatever this baby size is going to be the amount my body's able to handle. And so I just need to trust that process and just pray about it and to not be stressed about it. So after all that, after a day of 2 days, 3, maybe, I don't know how many, of freaking out, asking everybody I know, how big was your baby? The people I text probably are really sick of it or hopefully get a kick out of it. But like my sister said and my friend Rachel Apostle, that big babies are actually great because they usually eat really well, they sleep really well, they're usually really healthy, and you don't have to go back to the hospital. So I'm going to think of it as a blessing, and I'm excited for whatever size he's going to be. And also, I'm going to go back to trying to have a natural birth. I'm going to get a hypnosis coach, I think is what it's called. And so you go through and, I'm just learning about this, so I'm not fully sure, but I think it's someone who helps you visualize the birth, and then you visualize the breathing, and you just put yourself in that space. I've also heard that there's a lot of benefits with having a natural baby, that you get a more of an immediate connection, or that you make sure that you get that immediate connection with the baby, and that you fully get all the hormones and everything that you need once the baby goes through. So I just want to be fully aware in that moment. I don't really want to be taken out of it. I don't want to be fully induced. I want to be able to walk around. I heard something about a birth bar, which sounds really fun and exciting. And it makes sense that squatting while you give birth or a water birth makes more sense. Gravity would pull it down. When you're on your back, that just seems like a very awkward, challenging position. So it seems like if you're squatting and able to, I don't even know if I'm strong enough to do it, but I'd like to try and train up for it. It's like the birth Olympics. Here I go. Do. So anyways, my friend who is a CrossFit coach, well, actually she owns a CrossFit gym. She was going to do it, but her baby just came too fast. And so I'm going to ask her about it, and I'll keep you guys posted on that when I hear more about it. But I would like to try this birth bar. And I just want to be able to walk around and keep the baby moving and just do it more naturally, let my body take its course and how it's supposed to give birth. I mean, women were born to give birth, and it's such an honor and such a privilege. And I want to just be able to get through it and fully be in the moment and feel alive. And I've also heard one of the perks of not getting any kind of drugs is you get the most incredible high after that feels like ecstasy almost once you have the natural birth that you don't get if you do have all the drugs and everything. So maybe it just that release sounds really nice. And when all is said and done, I want to be like, I tried to do it the best way, but hey, I don't want to get too stuck on one birth plan. If I get in there and it's really crazy, or if medically I need something, I'm fully going to go that way too. So it's like I have something in my mind and I'll plan for it, but you never know. If I get in there and it's crazy, I'm going to get that epidural. Or if somehow, God forbid, I need a C-section, then I will definitely do that. Obviously, I want to have my baby in the hospital for a reason. So when it comes down to it, I'm going to trust the medical advice and what I'm going to need to do. And at the end of the day, it's in God's hands, so it is what it is. But if I can try, I'm going to try to do it natural. So we'll see how that goes, and I just want to look more into it. I just want to know my options also. It's a big deal giving birth, and I want to enjoy it, and I want to fully be present in it, and I want to know everything that's going on. It's a lot, and I've waited for this moment for years. So I just want it to be something special. I want it to be something I can enjoy as much as possible. It to be something that, I'll always remember. You have this one day to give birth. It's so memorable in a woman's life, and I want it to be what I want. And so anyways, I saw this documentary. That's incredible. Ricki Lake actually did it herself, and it's called The Business of Being Born. I think that's what it's called. So check it out. It's on Netflix. I'm sure it's on iTunes, but it is incredible. So it interviews all these different midwives and all these different people who have had C-sections and people who have had natural births and people who get epidurals. And it's really mostly focused on these midwives. And it says that America is one of the only countries in the world that doesn't have midwives in the hospital. And that is very curious, and it's kind of about the business of hospitals and money and how they give you this one drug. I forget what it's called. It starts with a P, something. Anyways, it starts inducing the labor more. And then because you need that, the baby's heart rate drops sometimes. And once you get that, you need to get the epidural, and then it intensifies it so much, and then the epidural wears off. So you need to get more of this other drug. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you need a C-section. And it says that each hospital makes like $15,000 more per C-section. So it's in their best interest to get as many women to have C-sections as possible. And there's nothing against a C-section. If people want one or enjoy that, I totally support whatever anyone supports individually. That's what I think is best for them. I mean, I have no judgment or criticism. Anyway, anyone wants to give birth. It is a very grueling, challenging, incredible, hard, scary operation situation. So anyways, I'm not judging, I'm not criticizing, but for me personally, I think that I do want to have it natural. So watching this was such good confirmation, and watching these women giving birth at home made me feel really confident. Like, hey, if they can do this, I can do this. And I already wanted to have a doula, which is like a midwife, but I do want to be in a hospital in case anything goes wrong. So I think it's a good happy medium to be able to be in the hospital and be able to try to do it natural. So I was just saying, once you get in a hospital, they get really pushy about the drugs and this and that. And so that's why it's also good to have a doula there, someone who knows your pregnancy plan, someone who's not there from the hospital, but is representing you and helping you through this process. And I'm all about women power too. Like, I love women. I think women are incredible. I think we need each other. I think there's like this loving support that sometimes, and no offense to men, but we can't get from men. It's different. It's a different emotional connection. It's a different when you've been through it with somebody, when they know what you're going through. I mean, it's just different. And that's why we have different people in our lives for different reasons. I mean, we all have different roles, and I think it's important to enjoy and embrace those roles. So I think, I want my doula there. I want her helping me and helping me on the birth plan. She is all about having it natural. Anyways, this documentary is incredible, and it shows water births too. And a lot of these women at home have births in the bathtub. So I was watching these, and it looks great to have the baby in the bathtub because first they're all rinsed off when you hold them. It's all nice. But also the gravity seems great because you're squatting, but it's not as intense on your body because obviously what water does and helps you to be more weightless or whatever the technical term is. So that seemed really cool, and I want to see if that's an option in the hospital to do. And then just watching these women holding their babies, I mean, after they just gave this natural birth and are just crying and so happy and excited. So it showed women who give birth without any kind of drugs or inducement and their emotional connection to the baby. And then it showed women who get epidurals and C-sections and different drugs, and it just showed theirs. So maybe it was just, the people they decided to show, but it looked so different for these moms who gave a natural birth. And yeah, maybe a part of me is like, hey, I want to know that I can do it. And I also want whatever is best for the baby. So if I get all these drugs and this epidural and then I risk having to get a C-section when maybe I wouldn't have needed it. I mean, when you get a C-section, from what I've heard, you don't fully release all the hormones vaginally that you needed to, and the baby doesn't go through the vaginal canal and get the certain immunities. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor here, but I'm trying to just recite what I have been learning, and it's very interesting. So you might as well look at your options. This is a huge deal. I mean, women used to die during childbirth sometimes, so it's not a joke, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And if I'm so serious about eating like organic versus non-organic, or I'm, about the table I'm buying, little things like that, it's like, why wouldn't I look around and look at all my options for giving birth? And at the end of the day, I'm just going to surrender it to God, and whatever is meant to be. There's no wrong option. That's the great thing too. It's like there are great things about having an epidural. There are great things about having a natural birth. I'm sure great things about having a C-section. I've heard people love having C-sections too. I mean, you get to keep all your parts intact. So it kind of seems like a win-win as long as you have a healthy baby and a healthy delivery and everyone's good at the end of the day. That's all that really matters. So that's my main plan. My main mission is just a beautiful, healthy baby, that I want to be healthy and everything like that. So I'm going to look into my options, but at the end of the day, I just need to let go and let God. But I am very curious about that birth bar, so I will let you guys know what that means. On a whole different note, I went to Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday, and I was trying to look like, cool, chic, pregnant lady. I had my leggings on, I had my boots on, and I mean, there's the tiniest, it's not even a kitten heel, it's like a stump on my heel that barely is raised off. And I almost fell wearing these boots. And it made me realize I'm not going to be one of these sexy pregnant ladies in heels. That's just not going to be me, unfortunately, especially I'm thinking, what if I have a red carpet, or what if I have an event to go to, or a TV show? I want to wear some heels just to make my legs look a little better, to be the sexy pregnant lady, or not even sexy, but just the fashionable one. I have some great shoes. Nope, that is not going to be me. I almost fell over and broke my ankle wearing that. They say that your balance is definitely a little bit off, so I think I'm going to stick to sneakers, maybe a few pairs of sandals, some comfortable flats. So if you guys know any great flats, please tweet me at Heidi Montag and let me know. So anyways, I had a whole revelation yesterday, and I've seen my co-stars. I mean, like Kristen Cavallari looked so good during her pregnancy. She's always wearing these hot heels and these amazing outfits, and I was like, oh, she makes it look easy. Some women make pregnancy look really easy and effortless. So she is one of them. And I was like, oh, great. Yeah, I'm so glad you can wear that. Kristen's such a good role model with that. Well, unfortunately, that's her pregnancy style and something I'm really not going to be able to do. Also this week, we are still moving, and my back has just been throbbing. I mean, just bending over and having so many things to do, and you have to lift all the stuff out of the boxes, and I'm really trying not to overdo it, but I definitely have had a very challenging week, so I don't know how much I should be working out on top of moving the house in. And I don't know, I'm just a little bit on the tired side, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the workout for the baby for the oxygen. So it's certainly been a challenge for me doing that. Another thing I'm going to have to start thinking about are godparents. I mean, it's a big decision who you decide to be the godmother and the godfather of your child. And I think that originally it's supposed to be a spiritual person in their lives, someone who is like a spiritual leader, someone who will look out for them and help them. And you can have more than one. I mean, I'm thinking about having two. I have some great older friends that I would want, and then I have, my best friend that I would want, and then you have people in your life you're like, oh, if you don't make them the godmother, then you're going to have a problem. So it's just very challenging thinking about that type of thing. And I don't know who Spencer's going to pick as the godfather, and we need to kind of start having these conversations. I'm 5 months. I mean, I only have 4 more months to go, and everything's going by so fast. And when do you start getting a life plan together? It's like, what would happen, God forbid, if something happened to Spencer and I? Like, who would we have entrusted with our children? That's a big deal. That's very serious stuff. So I think Spencer and I need to start having that conversation, and a will for our lives and insurance. And there's just a lot of different things that you need to start thinking about, that we need to start thinking about, and having these in-depth conversations. Well, I'm hoping sooner than later I'll be able to get into pregnancy yoga. I was going to go this week, but I had a delivery truck, so it doesn't look like that's going to be able to happen. But I do want to do it next week. I'm hoping next week I'll be able to give you guys an update on my prenatal, very exciting yoga class that I'm planning. And it's a little intimidating going into yoga when you don't have anyone going with you, and it's all these different women. So I'm hoping maybe I'll make some friends, that there will be some nice people there, and I'll be able to have a really fun, exciting, empowering time. I was doing yoga by myself, and then a lot of the poses, as I was not thinking would be very pregnancy friendly at this point. I can't lay on my back anymore. That's official. I asked my doctor, I was like, even for 5 minutes of like an ab workout? And she's like, no, absolutely not. So I was like, okay, I think I've been doing that one wrong. I use my medicine ball or figure out different things. But I want to start getting more into that prenatal yoga workout. And I'm hoping that once I'm fully moved in, I can feel more nested. And then I can start looking at the cribs and stuff, because I'm starting to look at Green Guard cribs and seeing what's the best, and organic versus not organic. And I mean, all that stuff is just a lot to sort through. Apparently, I also need to start looking into toddler group. My mother-in-law was saying to me, so which toddler group is your son going to go to? And I was like, toddler group? What the heck? I don't even have a baby yet, but in LA, it's really competitive how soon in advance you can get your toddler apparently into toddler group. And there's a few different ones, and you have to maybe get in. I mean, that is one thing I really cannot be thinking about right now. But if I have to, like, oh my goodness, toddler group, I hope I can get into the right toddler group. Maybe we'll do homeschool toddler group. Maybe it'll be more like one-on-one play time if we can't get into the right toddler group. But this whole parenting thing is very competitive. I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts, and it's very time sensitive. So I guess that's the only problem with having a baby in LA, is that everything, there's just only so many spots in each school for each kid. Well, anyways, this week has been great, minus one of my ribs starting to really ache on the bottom left, but I'm trying to enjoy just every moment of it. I know I'll never get this day back, never get this moment back, so I'm trying to live in the moment, really enjoy it, really embrace everything. And life is so short, and this pregnancy will be so short, and in a blink of an eye, before you know it, I'll have this incredible baby in my arms, whether it's through epidural, a regular birth, a water birth, who knows how and what. But anyways, life is so short. So I just want to enjoy every moment of it. And thank you so much for listening to me and tuning in. Week 19, another exciting amazing, beautiful, blessed week. If you guys have any boy names, please tweet me at Heidi Montag. I may not fully retweet it because sometimes there's just a lot, but anyways, I'm looking out. I see them. I appreciate everyone sending names, and I'm hoping that we'll find a good one here. I have like top 10, but that's a lot, and not one that I just love and not one that Spencer just loves. It's another very challenging part. We'll talk more about that next week, but please tweet me. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.